And trust me, I know that I am between you and the drinks on the rooftop, okay? Just so we're all clear what our collective motivation is, okay? I hope, though, that we're going to have some fun together even before we get up to the rooftop and have drinks. I want to start by saying that I'm kind of hoping that you guys will consider honorary membership in your club for me. And I'm going to tell you my two primary credentials. The first is that I was born and raised in Mankato, Minnesota, the home of Hickory Tech, now Inventus, right, I think is the name. Although my mother's email address still says hickorytech.net, and so that is always what it will be to me, because that's where my emails come from. And my second primary qualification is that my first management job was actually at an internet service provider in their call center. And so I know, and it was at a time when internet service providers were hip and cool and were then swiftly becoming utilities, right? And becoming telecommunications companies. So I know wherefore you are. And those are my two primary qualifications. My one ding, I think, is that if you asked me to take a quiz on the last panel, I would definitely fail. But I would still like you to consider today and tomorrow an honorary membership given those two qualifications. And I actually want to start today, I'm going to talk today about remodeling tools for women leaders. And I want to start with a story from that first management job I had. It was in California, in Pasadena, where I live now. And it was one of the new internet service providers, and it was growing like mad during the internet boom. And it was run primarily by male executives who were quite a bit older than I was. And one of them, I remember, was notorious for blowing up randomly at his team. And one was a quiet academic who pretty much we decided didn't ever interact with his team. And one was somebody who was a notorious dictator. His staff knew not to question him ever and never to ask for anything for themselves. Are any of these guys working for you guys now? And so here I come along, right? And I am moving mountains as far as I'm concerned in our call center. I am training a record number of new hires every week to put on our technical support and our customer service lines. We're transforming, we're restructuring whole departments because the departments are doubling and tripling in size every couple of months. So we're having to restructure everything. I'm rolling out this huge project management training to the entire company, making this entire shift to project management. And so I get a call to come in and go out to lunch with my boss. And I'm thinking, great, he wants to tell me how great I'm doing. He takes me to lunch and he sits me down and he says to me, your staff has been complaining. They say you're not nice enough. And I said, you mean that team that I actually speak to? Unlike the other guy? Yeah, that one. You mean that team that I don't blow up at randomly? Yeah, that one. You mean that team that I'm not a dictator, I'm actually encouraging them, I'm seeking out professional development for them? He said, yeah, that one. They said you're not nice enough, and you need to change that. I was stunned, to say the least, at the conversation, because I was getting results, and I thought that was what mattered. And it made me realize that there was a double standard at work, and that as much as I wanted to believe that leadership was leadership, regardless of gender, the fact was that both my boss and the people that worked for me expected me to be nicer because I was a woman. And I realized then that being a woman leader required different tools, different thinking, not because of who I was, but because of how other people perceived women from the get-go. And that's what I want us to be able to talk about today, is both that reality and what we do about it, for ourselves and for our organizations.